So we're pretty near done. What I want to do now is just to give a kind of executive summary of what you should have learned from this course and then give you some pointers to what to do next. Um, the executive summary is really quite brief, and that's perhaps saying something about HTML because as a language, HTML is really very simple. It has got an extremely simple syntax, almost trivially simple. Um, there are some tag names which you need to begin to get familiar with, and then the real learning experience is in how to do things properly, and that's what I've tried to focus on. And one of the core things to do is to begin to build up a template and what I've and many others, of course, call a boilerplate, which is a standard view code which you're going to use as the foundation for all of your web applications. So take this template, take the two files there which are imported into your application as the starting point. That's Normalize and Modernizer, and all of these things, the template, the Normalize style sheet, and Modernizer as an initial JavaScript, capture a body of experience which has been evaluated carefully to make sure that if you build on that foundation, then all of your users will get a very positive experience from your website. Of course, you've got to do an awful lot more work, and that is all about marking up your content correctly. So we've got some key things to include in every application you do and every page. So always make sure that every page in your website has a title. I showed you an outline of a good practice in terms of naming conventions for title pages. Make sure that you do declare the character encoding for your website. This is again a key part of providing the clear semantics so that any user agent understands what you mean by individual characters within your web application. And as part of that, then make sure that the language is clear. So here I've specified the language, the default language for my document. What I can do within the document is associate a language with a particular element. So if I want to break into French in my document for a paragraph or even a short span, I can do that, and any user agent will understand what language I'm using. Next thing to do is to make sure that you do include a description and optionally include some keywords. The description is increasingly being used. Of course, it's being used by Google and Yahoo. Other browsers are beginning to use that. Other engines are using that, and that will provide benefit to your viewers when your website comes up on a search. Then someone can see very quickly and concisely whether your website is the one that they ought to be looking at. So make a very clear, concise and relevant description there. If you try to fake something there, then you will get penalized by the search engines. Similarly, if you stuff rubbish keywords into the keyword meta tag, you'll get penalized and drop down in page rankings. So use relevant keywords. Because of all those issues I mentioned about keyword stuffing, then search engines still don't pay too much attention to the keywords. They are mostly of value when you're building big websites and you want a search engine, inbuilt search engine on your website. Then you can use those keywords to assist in searches on pages by including synonyms and so forth in that. And then the final part of the template are those two files I mentioned as a starting point for your boilerplate. Normalize to reset most of the styling elements to a common foundation across all browsers, and then you build on that. You start to where the foundation is. What Normalize does is also to maintain some useful default stylings in that are consistent across browsers. Modernizer, the main thing we're using that for at the moment is the JavaScript Shiv, which is going to enable Internet Explorer between 6 and 8 inclusive to recognize the new semantic elements of HTML5. But as you go further, then there are other features of Modernizer which will become important. So that's the core foundation. Things to do, but also that message that what you need to do is to capture best practice in some boilerplate which is established, set up with some files which contain not just everybody else's experience of best practice, but your best practice. So you'll start as time goes on to add in things of your own, roll your own boilerplate which captures your or your organization's experience of what works best for web applications. The second really strong message which I keep coming back to time and again is that HTML is all about describing content. Nothing else belongs in the HTML. No styling information should be in there. That belongs in the style sheets. No code should be in there. That belongs in a separate scripting file, usually JavaScript, increasingly CoffeeScript. And in other training courses you will find it will show you how to add dynamic aspects into your application, but without that code interfering with the responsibility of HTML. So the people who are working on the content for your website work with HTML pure and simple. If there are any issues about the content, then all they need to do is to change the HTML and not worry that they're going to mess up styling or interactivity. Those two aspects belong in different files, different parts of your project build. So next steps, of course, practice more with HTML, get those elements into your mind, and of course there's advanced material for HTML with all the usage of canvases, the support for video and sound in HTML5, which are incredibly important aspects of it. But in terms of pushing forward the basics of web application development, then the next thing to start to look at is the styling of that. And in a next, if you want to follow the same sort of the same series of courses, then the next step is to start to add in styling into your web application. So I haven't reset the Safari defaults just to show you the basic layout of the form. If I did include the reset in the presentation of this, for example, you wouldn't see the outline around the field set. Well, what we're going to do is to first reset that, which will take all of the default styling away from that. Reset that with a basic font, no borders, and then add some styling so that we get a much more attractive layout, and you can start to choose the colors of the various elements within your web page and so forth. This is a very blocky first cut at CSS, and in the Ready Set Go course you'll get a little bit further than that to make it the form, if you wish, something which is less pure functional and a little bit more attractive. Of course, having a form isn't much use if you can't do anything with it, and the next thing one wants to do is to make your website dynamic and start to add in all of that interactivity. So dynamic HTML is the next thing to look at, and during the autumn there will be a course appearing on that, and of course if you browse around Udemy and others you will also find various information about JavaScript as still the mainstream approach to making HTML dynamic. And that's all facilitated by the document object model. So what you can do with the document object model is to dynamically add or remove elements in the tree and change the contents of those elements. So I've just illustrated here the adding and the removing of elements, but the other important aspect of that is that any of the content within the HTML tags for an element can be changed, updated, added to without a full page refresh. So the key thing about that is if we think of this layout as a blog, for example, then the section within the article, which is the one on the left there, could be the main text of the blog, and then one can enable registered users to add comments in, and that can be done without full page refresh. So it's faster, looks smoother, by far the preferred way of doing it. So DHTML Ready Set Go will show you how to do that kind of thing, not with any serious functionality on the server side. All that course will be doing is looking at fetching pre-generated text from the server side. If you wish to go further than that, then do the CSS, do the DHTML, and there are various approaches to the server side. You'll see courses on PHP during the autumn, then my course on Java server side will go up. Use of servlets, JSP, and plain Java objects for the model in a Java style for the model view controller design pattern, which is also used in the Ruby on Rails course, which is currently available. Process also is an important aspect of developing your web application, and cross-cutting both Ruby on Rails, Java technology, PHP, whatever it is that you're using on the server side, whatever it is you're using on the view side, then I'm a strong advocate for behavior-driven development, and again there will be a course on that going up during the autumn. There's a little bit about that. There's one lecture on that in the Ruby on Rails course at the moment, but it's a big topic and it needs a little bit of experience to really get confident in that. So I will be putting up a course on that in the autumn. So that's it. If you've got this far in the lecture, then don't let go of the course. It will continue to evolve, hopefully not dramatically, but it's a live course and it continues to be maintained, so changes as a result of your feedback will take place, and as a result of continued development of understanding of best practice in usage of HTML will also lead to changes in the content of the course. So don't let go of the course, keep in touch, and make sure that you continue to use this to provide a strong foundation to your future career.